Hey guys, I've partnered up with ASIO Esports to give away a mousepad and keyboard. All you have to do is like, comment, subscribe, and click on the link in the description to claim your entries. Best of luck, and now let's get into the video. Alright, so if you're listening to this right now, then Season 8, the ranked season for Season 8, has long gone already. And with that being said, I know I am way too late to make this video. It would have made a lot more sense for me to make this video either during the season or at the start of the next season. But unfortunately, the tips and tricks that I'm going to go over in this video were not discovered until the very last week of the season. And unfortunately, as it is for you guys, it is very unfortunate for me, because had I been able to use these tips and tricks throughout the entire season, I know for a matter of fact that I would have climbed much more easier. But I suppose it is better late than never to go over these tips and tricks, because you can either use them now in the preseason to boost up your rank so that your placements next season will be affected by it, or maybe you could just learn these tips and tricks now and hope to utilize them at the start of the next season. So in this video, I'm going to be going over 3 tips and tricks that, if done correctly, will guarantee you to win more games and get more LP. If you guys do go on to enjoy this video, then be sure to leave a like, but without further ado, let's get into it. So just a little background story on where I was able to come up with these tips and tricks, as well as a little background story on me. So last season, I peaked at Challenger rank 120 in North America. It was the highest rank that I've ever been, and unfortunately this past season, the season that just ended, I kind of disappointed myself. I wasn't even able to hit Masters at any point, so overall it was pretty disappointing, but I refused to get discouraged, and as the end of the season approached, I was currently sitting at Diamond 4, and I knew that I still had the potential to get to Masters, so I decided to put together these tips and tricks that would go on to help me climb insanely fast at the very end of the season. And within a matter of 2 days, I went all the way from Diamond 4 to nearly Masters. I went all the way to Diamond 1, 70 LP. The first tip that I used was never forfeit a game. And I know a lot of people will disagree with this, but just hear me out real quick. So as many of you guys already know, when it comes to getting an early lead, you might often see the enemy team give up. People like to int feed, people like to AFK, people like to open mid, and overall people just like to stop trying when they fall behind early. And you might also witness this happen on your team as well if your team has fallen behind in the early stages of the game. Now that right there is no secret. That's pretty common across all different ranks. You will see that pretty often no matter what rank you're playing at. But what people don't know is this actually works the other way around as well. When people get really far ahead in the game, they often stop trying as much as well. People will start trolling, they'll start building really weird items, they'll start going for really risky plays, really unnecessary plays, they'll start feeding without even realizing it, and in these situations it is very easy to come back in these games. So if you just keep that in mind and have a mindset of I'm not going to forfeit any game that I join, and you are able to abuse the fact that people will start trolling and people will start taking the game less seriously if they do get an early lead, then you can very easily find yourself making comebacks in your games and thus winning more games. I'm not gonna lie, for the majority of the season I gave up really easily whenever my team fell behind. I would just say, alright, go next guys, this game's over with. But as soon as I changed my mentality and started looking for ways to come back into the game by shot calling and making sure my team was on the right page and making sure that we were taking the objectives that were available to us, then I started coming back and having a lot more success in the later stages of the game. The second tip that I'm going to offer that really benefited me in the end of the last season down the stretch was only playing under the right conditions. This included things like not playing when I was hungry, not playing when I didn't feel focused, not playing when I was tired, not playing if I had a negative mindset, not playing ranked unless I had already played a warm-up game on a Smurf account or in a normal game. These sound like very little things, but they do have a large impact on how you play in any given game. So just making sure that I had all of the necessities in order before I even queued up really helped me to play more consistent and play better overall. And I understand that it could seem really weird, but science has proven that if you are in these conditions where you're either hungry or tired or whatever it may be, maybe you just had a bad day at work or at school, things like this can affect your mentality, they can affect your mindset, and can affect how you think and how you play, even if it's just coming down to something like a video game. So again, just to put an even larger emphasis on this, you really don't want to be queuing up, you don't want to be playing any games unless you are under the perfect circumstances. Or maybe not perfect, maybe that's an exaggeration, but at least good circumstances. Make sure that you do have things in order before you decide to get into a game. Alright, and finally, the last tip that I'm going to go over is by far the biggest one of them all. If you guys didn't appreciate the first 2 that I offered, maybe you thought they were just really basic or not that impactful, then I guarantee you this one right here is the largest one of them all. And even if you just completely avoid using the other 2 tricks that I gave you and only use this one, then even that will allow you to win many more of your games. And the tip that I'm talking about here is only play 2 champions. That is it, no more, no less. For a very long time, I was 100% against one tricks. I thought people who one tricked a champion were just really unhealthy for the game. And anytime I got a one trick on my team, I was just so devastated because I figured, okay, well, they're either going to get banned out and we lose, or they get the champion and we have a chance of either winning or losing. But after abusing one champion per role, 2 champions max, I came to realize that only playing a minimal amount of champions is so much smarter than having a large champion pool. For myself, I play support main and I have a jungle as a secondary role. So down the stretch, I was only playing Rakan and Pantheon. If you look at my match history from the last 7 days of the season, you will only see those 2 champions. But honestly, even though playing a minimal amount of champions is important, that's not even the biggest part about this tip. You see, the champions that I picked, Rakan and Pantheon, were picked for specific reasons. Considering support is my main role, I want to be able to have the ability to carry games every single time I'm on this role, which is why I picked a champion that embodies both playmaking and carry potential. It really wouldn't make sense for me if support is my main role and I'm getting it in 70% to 80% of my games, and I'm playing a champion like Janna or Soraka, who really has very little impact on a game. So this goes for any role really, whatever role it may be that you're playing, but I highly recommend that you just play one champion, maybe 2 champions, have a backup. For example, the backup that I was using was Brand. If Rakan got picked or banned, Brand would be my champion. But again, whatever role it may be that you're playing, pick a champion that has a high carry potential, because if this is the role that you are playing more times than not, then you do want to make sure that you're playing a champion who can carry games. As for Pantheon, the reason that I picked him is because jungle is my secondary role. This is a role that I can play to a certain extent, but it's not a role that I feel super comfortable on. And thus I picked Pantheon because not only is he very simple, but he's in a good spot in the meta. So even if I'm not a stellar jungler, I will still be able to play Pantheon to the best of my ability and to the best of the champion's ability, just because he's a simple champion. And on top of that, another thing that both of these champions had the benefit of providing in any game is the fact that they have a large impact in the game very early on. Rakan isn't really known for being an early game champion, but once you hit 6, you can start having an impact. And Pantheon, I played him in the jungle, and by doing so, I was able to put a point into my stun at level 2 and just start spam ganking with mobility boots. So I know this final tip was kind of all over the place, but just to recap, all the factors that came into play with this specific tip include only playing 2 champions, playing champions that have a large impact early on into the game, playing a champion with a high skill cap and playmaking potential on your main role, and playing a champion that has early game impact but is very simple in your secondary role. I know I stated this earlier on into the video already, but I was able to go all the way from D4 to Diamond 1 nearly Masters within just 2 days by abusing these 3 tips. So I guarantee that if you use them yourself, whether that be in the preseason or heading into the next season, that you will see a lot more success and start winning more of your games. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the end of this video. I hope you were able to find this video helpful. If you were, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel to help it grow. Also, be sure to check out my Twitter, Patreon, and merchandise on your way out. Links to all of them will be down in the description. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.